Welcome guys to my second devlog video. In the first episode I've showed you the main idea for the game and some alpha versions, but this time we're going to have a normal devlog, so as the name says, I'm gonna show you what things I worked all this time from the first video. Our goal for now was to end visual stuff, so I started my week by creating a traffic system. I wanted it to be fast and easy to set up, so the first thing I thought about was using pre-made paths. I started by searching the asset store for the spline tool, and I found free one called BG Curve. I didn't want to create my own one because I don't have time for that and it's just a visual addition. It looked pretty good, so I tried it. It happened to be a viable solution for my case. I got to know the tool and it was pretty straightforward, so that was a big benefit of time and money. As I planned everything and checked if it's working, I handed the making of roads to my friend Sebastian, which is making this game with me. Here are the paths he made for the 7th office. So, we got where cars should drive, but we didn't have any cars yet. This was the next step. The concept was to have a manager which would handle spawning cars based on their chance weights and randomly select paths for them. At first, I had a little trouble getting to know how to move cars along the curves, but I got it. I wrote simple detection system, but it didn't work as expected, so I had to create new one. Of course, while doing that, I had many bugs, but hey, it's working. The thing I thought about many times was that cars were just popping in and disappearing without any transition or cut. So I wanted to do this using again the asset store, but the asset I found was good only for one road end. My first idea was to mix cameras and the buffer in such a way that skybox would be rendered over objects where I want to. This would hide cars, but hours of searching gave me nothing. So I rolled out my own solution. I wrote a shader that takes the center and size of the box and clips out the pixels outside of it. And guess what? My own solution took me about 30 minutes to complete and it's fully working. So the lesson for the future, don't try to always make things easier because you can make them harder. After so much headache with this horrible traffic system, I had to take a break and get away from the computer. Yeah, you heard right, I'm not using computer 40 hours a day. I played some piano, ate some food and did some other things. If you also have school, making games isn't as fast as wanted. I'm graduating high school this year, so I have to learn a little, but after spending some time on it, I'm back to work. The next things I did were adding new cars and upgrading path selecting algorithm. As the traffic system was pretty much ended, it was time for unique employee variants, which I mentioned in the last episode. So to better describe it, if you hire a new employee, he or she is always going to look different. Due to some technical reasons, they are pre-made, but we already have almost 150 of them thanks to Seb. But it didn't go without any problems. I spent an hour or two on searching how to create and load Yuma pre-made avatars because the documentation didn't really say anything about it. Fortunately, I got to know that the example scenes have character creators and there was an option to save avatars. Loading part was pretty easy to implement, so after doing that, the game finally isn't missing that important bit. I know that some of you may ask, hey man, I know that visuals are important, but what about the gameplay? And as I mentioned at the start of the video, I wanted to end visuals at first, and now I'm going to overhaul game creating mechanic. I already started doing that, and probably my work in the next weeks will be only gameplay related. So you may ask, what is changing? Basically almost everything. The old system was boring, not really progressing the same throughout all game, and did I mention boring? Yeah. The first one was meant to be kinda realistic from time point of view. You could have massive AAA game made by 200 employees and with stats at 100%, but it would take you up to 10 years or even more. So you would have to cut on some parts. And as it sounds kinda good, it would kill all the gameplay. There would be no progress because you could always do everything at max settings. Researching was only money dependent, so the only things you would have to think about were cash and employees. It was also contained in a single step, so you could just fill out all the fields and voila, you just made a game. so there was no hesitation that we had to change this system. So I sat down for a couple hours and thought about new system that would meet such criteria. Fun, progressive, easy to pick up and interactive throughout all production time. And that's how second generation of the game creating mechanic came to life. It has 5 steps instead of 1, it's progressive throughout all our game and even in the production steps. Needs to be mastered, but at the same time is easy to pick up. It adds technology and progress points to the game, which will stop the player from getting everything unlocked in the first 5 seconds. Random events, minigames. Honestly, I could talk about it for a couple minutes more, but it's still in the development stage, so I'm going to talk more about it in the next devlog. Just know that I'm pretty sure it will be one of the best game creating mechanics in the game developing tycoons genre. I hope I made you enough curious to stick with me and follow the progress on the game. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And as I said in the last video, we frequently post on Instagram, so be sure to check it out. Link is in the description. You can also check our website and forum at prosgames.com. Anyways, thanks for watching.